Coming at you live from DNHQ in beautiful South Pasadena, California. This is the Panic Podcast. What is going on, ladies and germs? My name is Clint, and also germs and gentlemen. And you can find me, it's Real FRG, on Twitter and Instagram. I figure I should be like PC about it, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know where you're going with that one, so I kind of just...
Neither did I.
I don't know. I just work here. Guys, my name is Brooke. You can find me at BrookeMe3 on Twitter and Instagram, but please don't. On today's show, well, how are we feeling? How are we feeling?
We're feeling like this whole baseball thing was a little too good to be true.
Yeah, you know, I was happy for too long, and the universe was like, no. I see that smile. We are going to take it off by losing 2 games to a minor league team and possibly blowing up the sport. So things are going well.
Yes, there's a lot of bad things. We had the struggle Dodgers. We had the greatest Dodgers ever, and then the struggle Dodgers. So there's going to be a lot to figure out, and we'll talk about it on today's show, of course. We're going to have deep thoughts with Coop. I don't know. We're going to have our friend Cooper, if you're saying it wrong, Surles, as some people have called it. I'm glad Todd Light says it right. Cooper Surles, all-star super co-host of the Big Swing podcast, bestest friend in the whole wide world of somebody. But he also knows Ross Stripling. He's a nice guy. But we're going to talk crap about the Astros with him, so that's going to be fun. And it's new. This whole baseball thing is new, the way we're doing it. But you wonder if the fanless games are taking a little bit of toll on the players. So we're going to talk to a doctor. We're bringing in a health medical professional person, man, to talk about that kind of stuff. So,
because we don't know anything about anything, really, especially sports.
Yeah, I've never watched sports. I mean, it's been so long. But before we do get into the show, we got to remind you, one, wear your mask like my microphone is here. I guess that's one way to combat it. But
yep.
We are a podcast. We would appreciate it if you would subscribe to our podcast. It is Blue Heaven Podcast on podcast services. We're on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Pandora, Stitcher Radio, everywhere podcasts are available to be downloaded for free. And we also have a YouTube channel. You might be watching it on there right now. It's youtube.com/DodgersNationTV. Subscribe to all that. We'll feel happy.
Yeah, we don't get to be very happy very often, so we would appreciate it. Guys, don't forget this is a live show. Let us know where you're repping Dodgers Nation tonight. Drop a area code or whatever. It doesn't matter. Drop city, area code, state, region. We're not looking for your information.
So
mother's maiden name, whatever.
Right off the bat, we got more Eric After Dark here. Our buddy Eric. So
he back.
He back. And we did the service of not spoiling the surprise, but we did work with the Dodgers on a production, and we think Mr. Manager Extraordinaire, I forgot his full title, and I'm so used to calling him Producer Eric, but Eric did reach out and include us in the Dodgers production for opening day, so we're grateful.
I think his title is like Greatest Showman or something like that. I think that's something like that.
He's a tap dancer also. He moonlights as a tap dancer in Las Vegas, but we thank the Dodgers for having us on there. If you didn't watch it, check it out. I don't remember what the name
We
of the
are
video.
stars, and we will be treated as such.
We've worked with Rob Lowe. That's all I'm saying. That's on my LinkedIn profile right here. Chris Canetta is getting ahead of us here on Facebook. Verlander goes down for the year, and then Miami catches the Rona, and baseball gets put in jeopardy. Well, I guess that's the whole show. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for stopping by. We don't even have to talk about it anymore. That's all the things that have happened in baseball literally in the past less than 24 hours. So going really well over on our end.
Dodger Rebels in Inglewood. Marco on YouTube is in Mexico.
Hey.
Thanks. We got Moreno Valley in here. Norma's on the stream, and Norma is watching under her usual YouTube account. So, that makes us.
Norma, you're always keeping us on our toes. We never know where we're going to find you. So on YouTube today, good to see you.
Roach is being not optimistic. Says I don't think we're going to finish the season, but what the hell, man? Well,
it's good. It's good.
We'll be here. We don't just decide to do the show when the season comes back like so many other publications decide to do.
Michelle over on Facebook says, I'm shocked the Florida team had the first outbreak, and I'm assuming that's sarcasm. It's like that thing where it's like, I for one am shocked. Well, not that shocked. It's like that.
On the video side, I titled this Miami Gonna Miami.
Yeah, Florida tends to ruin things for, let me check my notes here, the world. Yeah. That's good.
Gail says a whole segment devoted to slamming the Astros. Oh yeah, I mean maybe it's gonna be part of an entire segment, but we got a lot of things.
We've been looking forward to this day for a while.
We got a lot of gripes we got to get in with Cooper, and I'm pretty sure Cooper's got lot of crap.
Yeah, he's an
Astros
Astros super fan, so we need to make sure we get to him on that one. Yeah, he likes the Astros.
Hamel's in the stream. Swag Daddy McGee's in the stream. Says we're going to talk about that stooge who commented he hates your lineup with the nickname. Somebody's hating on our lineup fun.
That's all right. I mean, I don't like doing lineup funds because I'm not very creative, so I get it. I mean, if you're the creative type, you probably love it. So you can hate whatever we put out because we don't care. Cooper said it's fake news. Apparently, he's not an Astros fan. I mean, we're gonna grill him on that.
This is a news show.
Noted ex-Astros fan Cooper Surles.
I don't know. There's photography that states otherwise. So, Katie asks right at the top of the show here, who's going to jump aboard the Roberts hate train with me this week? Give us time. We're not going to get there yet. First, we got to talk about the more important thing is because we can't hate Dave Roberts. Fans can't hate Dave Roberts if there's no baseball being played.
I beg to differ.
Really, Eric. He says he was counting the minutes to see how long it said it took for us to say thanks. Okay, thanks again.
Now he can leave.
Things are going south real quick down at South Beach. Thanks to South Beach.
Yeah, since COVID took its talents to Miami, things have gotten really, really out of hand.
It's at BrookMe3.
Appreciate that.
We wake up this morning and we see that the Miami Marlins had 8 players, and
they're at 11 total now for the
11
for the
total
weekend.
Between players and coaching staff that tested positive for the Rona, as the kids call it. More importantly, I guess their leader and veteran Miguel Rojas, yes, that very same one,
noted medical expert Miguel Rojas, indeed.
So they had a text thread, and I guess the team decided via a group chat that it would be okay to continue playing baseball even though that much of their roster had coronavirus. Something that could affect literally the entire, I guess in this case, could affect the East Coast of teams because nobody in the Central is going to see any of those people, and nobody in the West Coast side is going to see any of those people. But still, they took it upon themselves.
I just love that Don Mattingly is still finding a way from the grave to ruin Dodgers fans' lives. I think that's just a beautiful sentiment. It's so poetic. And you know what? He's still doing a really good job of not managing a baseball team. He's still doing a great job at it. He said, you know what? I'm going to stay out of it. I'm going to let them vote. You guys figure it out. Donnie wasn't even in the text thread.
Wasn't he also throwing players under the bus too a little bit on it?
Oh yeah, big time. Dude, you're the manager. You're not going to step up and take any sort of responsibility. You let your team play. Donnie Baseball back at it again.
Having him and Derek Jeter run that organization just seems like a recipe for disaster. And you know what? Here we are. Disaster time.
Hell yeah. You know when the Yankees get a hold of any organization, it doesn't go well, so.
It was always going to be Florida. We knew that. It was always going to be Florida. And obviously you have teams that are traveling to, air quote, a bunch of different hot spots. We know that. Again, that's why my microphone is wearing the mask. Safety is an option here. But with this, and we're seeing the response from that, and Manfred coming out and, going on MLB Network in studio, surprisingly, and saying
no mask,
defending I guess it's the calls that MLB very obviously clearly didn't care about the players through any of this. They cared about the paycheck, and that's going to always be the underlying, sidelying, whatever way you want to lie, that's going to be what MLB was going for here.
So you're saying that they were motivated by money? Major League Baseball was motivated by money? You have one for that. Yeah. I have never ever heard of anything even remotely close to that. It's almost like they don't care about players or fans. See the Astros cheating scandal for reference. I think baseball, his exact words were somewhere along the lines of, we shut it down when a team is not able to be competitive on the field or to field a competitive team, which means we should have shut it down before the season already started because the Marlins have never been a competitive team. So there's that.
You would say the same thing about the division-leading Baltimore Orioles. So
that's true. I mean, the crappy teams have really gotten off to a good start. If you guys haven't noticed, it's a weird time to be alive, and I don't like it.
Yeah, like the Giants are 2-2. We'll get there later. Michelle Carter says they probably faked the test because nobody wants to play the first place Orioles. There it is. I got it right. But MLB had a conference call today. Not an abundance came out of that. I don't know. Did you see anything really come out of that? Because I stopped paying attention.
Basically, all I saw is that at the end of the day, they didn't have any conversation about shutting the season down. There was no talk of that. They want to be a little bit more strict on the policies on the field. Fines might be coming more. They said they had already said those fines were going to be coming, but they are not. So ultimately, this is not going to be a league. This is not going to fall on the league to be better about. They do need to be better about testing procedures. They do need to be better about getting the results back. They do need to be better about keeping players out if they've been even remotely exposed to people who have the virus. That's on the league, but on field, it's going to be team to team. You know, we've talked about how much we've seen the change in when the season started. There was like a very obvious like elbow bump, like don't go near each other, fake the high five,
especially intra-squad games.
Fake the high five, like really exaggerate the fact that we need to be socially distant, and the players were super good about it. But as soon as games started back up, that was gone in an instant. Trey Turner jumped into Kurt Suzuki's arms yesterday after a home run, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's not in the manual. That's definitely against the rules. You see people spitting. I saw a dude chewing Cattell Marte. Chewing seeds. He was just keeping them in his lip because I'm sure he was like, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to have these, but he's definitely chewing seeds. And who's enforcing that? Joe West?
And, you know, at Dodger Stadium, we've seen it. It's pretty blatant. They have the sections that were first taped off, and now they have text on it that says, do not sit here.
And they sit on them?
Some Dodgers are taking it like, oh, let's fit two inside of this box.
Somebody was like laughing, like, oh, you see Justin Turner sitting right on the do not sit area, and they were laughing about it. I was like, this is gonna kill us. Like we're not gonna have a team in the week.
It was always gonna work. It was always gonna be fun when it was kept in house. But as soon as you start moving around and ever touching foot in Miami, then things were gonna go to crap. And now here we are with that. David Price came out today and basically spilled the tea and doubled down that he saw nothing in that agreement that really protected against this, and that's why he chose to opt out. Manfred, being the little BICTH bitch he is. Did I? No, wait. Yeah, you know.
Bitch.
I did it I'm dyslexic, guys. He responded to him. Within like an hour and a half, the commissioner of baseball responded to a dude who opted out of his league over medical concerns with a pandemic. He had time for that.
He did. He's got plenty of time. He doesn't do much these days. Henry over on Periscope says there are more cases of COVID on the Marlins than in the entire country of New Zealand. And if that alone doesn't tell you where we're headed, I don't know what will. That is a very good point because New Zealand's at the zero. They got the zero. They got the goose egg. They got fans.
I think that's a personal foul.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way I saw it summed up by somebody on Twitter. I can't really mention you because I don't remember who it was, but somebody said it. Look, at the end of the day, MLB is lacking leadership at its highest level, and if that's the case, things are not going to go well this season. I think I had given it. In a personal conversation, I was like, I would be very surprised if we got through September into playoffs. I would be very surprised. I told several people that. Now I'm like, I don't even know if we'll get there. On the other side of it, there's a flip side of it. Maybe this is a wake up call. Maybe this awakens something in players and teams. Maybe veteran leaders and clubhouses step up and say, guys, we cannot be that. If we become that, the season's over for us. It doesn't matter. Yeah. And it might be on a team by team basis. It might be on a league basis. Who knows what it's going to happen.
No, I liked your plan. Just before the show, Mr. Stash Me 3 here comes up with the brilliant idea of hiring essentially a health and wellness coach, like basically the fun police at the ballpark.
Yeah, you got a guy that goes, a guy or girl, probably a person. I would say a woman would actually be much better at this job because they are much better at getting points across than men are because we are very dumb.
Yeah, the guy would be like, "What's up, bro?" Yeah, hey, high fives. You can't do that.
I mean, you call it a health and wellness coach, whatever you want to call it to give it an official title. I'm really good at making up fake titles because I don't really have a real job.
Yeah, like his senior editor.
Yeah, whatever.
He's younger than me.
I'm vice president editor now. You get this person that goes around and just enforces social distancing, enforces the whole fist bump, high five, whatever rule, goes around and makes sure everybody's hand sanitizing pretty often. Like, their job is to literally be annoying to the point where players hate this person. But it's good for the team. If they're calling people out on stuff and making sure they're not doing the stuff that's not in the manual, it can only be helpful.
He or she has to walk around with the most loudest, biggest, cattiest sounding like tape measure. It's like shh.
Heck yeah. Like always just like a stick that they just shove in between people, and they're like, I think it's honestly not a terrible idea. I've had a lot of really bad ideas in my life, but I feel like this is not my worst one. Yeah. And I feel like teams don't have that. You know, they don't have an appointed person that's supposed to look out for those type of things. They don't have the appointed person that's supposed to keep an eye out. They're just policing each other. Like, hey, you guys, you know what you're not supposed to do. Just don't do it. You know?
Yeah.
Which again, I'm just saying, I could be a really good commissioner if you're voting soon.
It works internally, and it could and can so far work for a team, or has so far worked for a team like the Dodgers, because the Dodgers, I forgot who said it. There was a player who said, you know, this team won't even let you do anything stupid. It's about that accountability on the inside. Like, JT is going to be sort of that fun police type of guy, and they all want this so bad to like get ramped up, get it going, and you know, shut it down 10 games into the season after this rushed intra-squad summer camp thing and all that. It would not play for Los Angeles and these very expensive Dodgers, who just paid a whole butt ton of money to Mookie Betts.
Roach says, "Sign me up. I'm annoying." Yeah, you got the gig. Congratulations. I don't know if you travel with a team. I don't know how it works. I don't know how financial compensation is going to work. I got ideas, but I don't know how they play out.
We're behind on the comments here, but Chris Canetta says, breaking: Manfred does not care about the baseball and the players. Sources confirm. Rhino says there's no way that Rob Manfred should still be commissioner after this year, and you really hope and pray to Tommy Lasorda that it happens, that he be gone. Just so there's any prayer of a chance that they're able to work through that CBA before the 2022 season, because that's going to be a nightmare to watch him. And get rid of Tony Clark too. He's really done nothing positive.
Just clean house at the MLB leadership level. You gotta hit the reset button.
You see Fire Roberts on Periscope?
Yeah. I was waiting for that to pop up, and it turns out it popped up as a screen name, not even a comment. So that speaks to where we're at right now. 4 games into a season, and the Fire Roberts thing comes out. If that's not a Dodger season, I don't know what is.
I mean, it does feel good to feel bad.
Oh yeah, big time. It's a reminder that we're alive.
I would much rather feel bad for this than bad for other reasons. But at Fire Roberts here on Periscope says Chico would bat cleanup for the Marlins. Hey,
there's an interesting option. Chico's a free agent technically. He's not technically signed to any team. So I mean, it could be a thing. Santiago says, walk around with a super soaker full of hand sanitizer and shoot players that accidentally high five. There's also an alternative idea there. I mean, you just got to force hand sanitizer on these guys. We haven't seen that much hand sanitizer. No. And I mean, other than Rizzo's at first base handed it out. And we appreciate that about him, because he is also very much at risk.
Yeah.
Clinton Braglin says Gary for commissioner. There's our first Gary reference of the day. He's got to get Gary.
I don't know her.
Oh yeah. There's got to be one Gary reference every show. Everybody knows that. Eric also says that Chico wears a mask constantly, and that is a man that we love and can get behind.
Chico was on the Big Swing podcast last week, and it was quality. It was a good time, because you were able to tell how nervous he was when he went on things like intentional talk and all that. So him actually talking to a player that he, I mean, for lack of better way of phrasing it, that he works with. So yeah, check that out. The Big Swing podcast there, Cooper. Now pay me.
Now you can come onto the show.
But so Derek Jeter, just getting into some of the ideas here, it came off of a Derek Jeter thing. I'm transitioning here.
I see.
Solutions. We've slightly, and I hope you come up with that. I might have prepared more in my morning tweets. Check it out, Real FRG. But we've semi-taken it upon ourselves here to come up with some fixes for the season. I think paramount for me, and I'm not going to dig in any further. We could leave it all to the imagination, but MLB should force players to delete Tinder, or any other dating apps from their cellular device until the conclusion of the season and somebody has been awarded the championship and the piece of metal.
Are you saying that a certain NL MVP should not be hanging out with new women? Is that what we're saying? Christian Yelich. Yeah, I think that's probably a good. So you're saying you don't want the Lou Williams strip club thing? I mean, sorry, chicken wings or whatever he said he was going to the
that
strip
was
club
old.
for.
What are you talking about? That was old.
Yeah,
that happened way long ago. That's why he had that. That's
why the Instagram post got deleted.
That's why he had that bubble issued mask with him.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
well, you know, in 2019 when we were all wearing masks all the time, you remember?
Yeah, for sure. You got one? You got like something you would do? I guess you already did yours. Your fixes. Have the fun police. So another thing I didn't like about it, and I don't know. I'm just gonna see the stream of thought here I had here earlier because I was all over the place with my tweets. But one of the things I didn't like about the way they're handling the Phillies situation is they're just like taking over a testing facility, and that was one big thing MLB said they wouldn't do. If we're coming back, we're having our own testing facility. We're not going to put any strain onto the common folk. Yet here we are. Immediately, they're like, "Hello, M Phillies." Bryce Harper had to go in there and explain who he was. Mm-hmm. My biggest and best solution, we've also already alluded to, just get rid of the teams that don't care, the teams that don't matter, like the NBA did. You don't need the Padres in there. Oh, got him. Even though I think
that's my brand. Don't steal my brand.
Even though I think they're technically leading the division. You don't need the Marlins. You don't need the Angels.
Yeah, oh boy.
Hey, you guys remember when they signed Rendon and he still hasn't played for them?
Talk about a dumpster fire of an organization. The Angels really setting the world on fire.
What about their ace? Ohtani couldn't even get an out. Oof. I don't know. Just get rid of these bad teams. You know,
if we would have done that, the Marlins never would have been in the first place, and we wouldn't have had this problem. I mean, we might have had it later, but we wouldn't have had it now.
Well, we'll in a little bit. We'll try to come up with some more solutions. I'm sure Cooper has some great ideas. You know, guy's a real winner with the ideas, but no reason to be kind of a douche about it. But he's a friend. So despite the game crumbling down around us, we press on, and the Dodgers did fall flat a little bit in that opening series. I'm gonna be nice in saying it like that.
That was a nice way of saying it.
They scored a buttload of runs, positive. Ross Stripling throws up 7 innings. I'm sure he wasn't happy with it, but 7 innings, gave up 1 run, looked quality. JT is proving that without April, he can start off pretty hot. Seager is always wonderful. He's hitting the hell out of the ball.
Stinging it. He's got that upper 90s average exit velocity, which last year he was trending in the mid 80s exit velocity. For those of you guys who care about the exit velo, such as myself, it does play up big time. And his BABIP is sitting right around 300, which is where you want to sit when you're stinging the ball like that. So I'm feeling good about Seager personally. The rest of the team, I mean, okay, Janet over here on Periscope says exactly what I'm feeling. Is Matt Beatty still on the team? And that's what I'm wondering, because there are a few times throughout the last 2 games. Let's just call it the last 2 games of the series. We didn't go wrong first 2 games of the series. It wasn't beautiful, but we got the job done, scored a ton of runs on a bad team.
No matter what they say, it was not beautiful.
Last 2 games, though, my goodness. I mean, there were just so many cases where I was like, oh, Matt Beatty would be good here. And then it was not Matt Beatty. It was somebody lesser.
Dave Roberts, usually a big-time fan of the matchups and the pinch hitting and moving players around, not taking advantage of his 30-man roster to start the season, which is very surprising.
Historically speaking, he almost over manages and tries to move too many parts, and he does that with his bullpen more often than his pinch hitters. But in the past, he's substituted more and more and more and more, almost to the point where people were like, hey, you need to chill out a little bit, let your guys hit when they're hitting. Then you get into a game where a pinch hitter would be perfect. It's perfect pitch hit opportunity against the reliever, and a guy on your team that does not hit right-handed pitching, and you say, you know what? I know we got 3 power hitting lefties on the bench, but I'm going to let them ride this one out. And it was a very strange thing to see. And I understand the defense. I understand that Rogers has better splits against lefties, but I think that Kike's right-handed splits are just enough to not justify keeping him in there in that particular instance. I would have loved to see Matt Beatty in that at bat. I would have loved to see Jock Peterson in that at bat. I would have loved to see Edwin Rios in that at bat.
Anybody.
I would not love to see Austin Barnes in that at bat.
Ooh.
He was the other option on the bench. I don't know.
One of my initial thoughts with all that is that Kiki's going to do one of those, or he's going to do that thing he does where he like has a good opening day and he rides that into 3 weeks in the starting lineup.
That's what you said before opening day.
And see, I'm always right sometimes when I'm not wrong.
90% of the time, he's right all the time.
All the time. So, yeah, it's weird. We don't have that luxury this year, Mr. Roberts. We don't have the luxury of letting your guys figure it out. It's just, especially at the beginning of the year when you have this expanded roster, use it, take advantage, play the matchups. That's your thing. I'm wondering if this air quote gamesmanship from Gabe Kapler and the Giants, I wonder if that kind of got to Dave. The overmanagement like there. And I liked Tyler here on YouTube a little while ago, and we definitely got to get better on the comments here, but Tyler asked, do you think constantly moving Betts up and down the lineup is going to mess with his ability to perform like we know he can? No, I don't think that will affect Mookie so much, but it will affect the rest of the lineup in a way.
Yeah, I'm not a huge the whole stack in the lineup in a certain way. Like Doc reiterated several times, he wanted to protect against matchups and stuff like that, especially the new 3-batter rule. But I still don't think that should change anything about Mookie batting leadoff personally. I think he belongs in that spot. I think he thrives in that role. Whatever, he's going to play. I think he's going to play with that for a couple weeks before he figures it out, and that's fine. We'll do that. But
we don't have that.
We have 2 to 3 weeks. It's fine. We'll figure it out.
60-game season, Chief.
Whatever.
Damn. Using analysis on me. Using that report. Hashtag reporter.
Analysis. We got time to figure it. I'm not worried about Mookie Betts, if that's what you guys are wondering at all. I think if we get to play these next 2 games in Houston, if we get to play him, I think it's going to be a really good series for him. I think he's probably going to hit a couple of dongs out there in Houston. I hope he hurts somebody. I don't know.
Going back to your newly created position. In baseball, Katie would love to walk around the dugout yelling at people who aren't following the rules because she's an aggressive human. You're hired.
We love aggressive people.
But we want tickets. Back to you in the studio. Yep. You find any more for comment-wise?
Francisco says, I can't believe the Giants beat us, and I think that's just the best way to sum up this entire show. That might be the name of the show, actually.
Especially after starting out the way they did in those first 2 games. I mean, what was it, like a lot to 4 or something?
To be fair, though, despite the fact that we scored so many runs those first 2 games, you had to have a feeling that there was something wrong based on how many people we were still leaving on base, despite the fact that we were scoring so many damn runs. We were also scoring them later in the games, not so much earlier in the games, which has been a problem for the Dodgers in the past, where they don't score so many runs on the first 5 innings. They score most of their runs in the last 3 innings, things like that. It gets real buck wild out there in LA, guys.
Faux show.
Noah says, what about Terrence Gore in that at bat? And Noah, that's a fat no. The man cannot hit. He's destined for defense and base running. That's it.
So, Alex Wood, how much rope do you give him?
I think he's got 3 more starts in him before you start questioning him. I think 3 is a good solid number. Get 4 starts. Get 4 starts into a season. I mean, that's a what is that? What's the math on that? A third into your starts. A third into what you should be starting. I guess I should say.
Rhino here confirmed something I completely forgot. I said that we were going to split the series.
I kept thinking about that the whole day yesterday. I was like, oh, damn, he is right.
Yeah, you
idiot. See what happens when you say bad stuff? Bad things happen.
I try to say bad stuff, so good things happen. I'm proud to look dumb for these situations.
Okay, so that's the negatives, right? We're riding high on the negatives right now. I want to look into the positives just a little bit. We've already talked about Seager a little bit. Looks good. He did not have the BABIP luck so much that you would think he would have, which is okay. That's fine. He's the ball's going to find the hole at some point. Alex brings up over on Periscope, says, what do you think of Kelly, Trinan, and Jansen? And I think those 3, oh my God. Like Trinan, first of all, dirty. absolutely filth. And so if that stuff's coming back to him, if his sinker's diving down and in on right-handed hitters like that the rest of the year in the upper 90s like it was, he is going to be very tough to hit. He did exactly what he's known to do. He got strikeouts, got soft contact on ground balls, quick outs. Joe Kelly did a really weird thing where he threw 15 straight curveballs, and I was almost to the point where I was so heavily invested in it that I was like, please throw another one. Please throw another one. And he just kept throwing them 15 times.
That was very weird.
Still looked great. Still very sharp. His velocity, he didn't throw very many fastballs, but his velocity was there, back up to 99 miles an hour, right where it needs to be for him. That's the potential to touch triple digits. I liked Kenley last night.
Even without the velo?
Even without the velo, the cutter was actually cutting. You can see it cutting in on the left-handed hitters especially, and I think that's a really good sign. He was hitting his spots better than he has in years past, which is also a very encouraging sign. If he can't get the velocity up, it's not a big deal as long as the cutter cuts and he hits his spots, and it looked good.
It worked for Mariano. It worked for Mo.
It did work for Mo because he pitched until he was very old.
Fredo says, brings up a positive brother Gatorade, your boy, your favorite.
Yeah.
The legend.
Doc did him dirty.
He did him very dirty.
He got soft contact. He got hit on the shift of all things.
Why do you shift against somebody who throws 101?
You don't shift against a guy who throws 101 miles an hour. I'm a very bad baseball player, and I know that. It just doesn't make any sense. But I did like what he was doing. I like the pitch mix that he had. He threw a lot of fastballs and mixed in a few off-speed pitches, enough to get people off balance and thinking about it. I like what he's doing. He's still very young, and I think people forget that this is going to be his first full major league season.
Yeah.
I am all aboard the Bruce Dark Gratterall train.
Santiago
I should get a jersey.
You probably should get it.
Yeah.
It's got to say Gatorade on the back, or just Bazooka. Santiago brings up, again, Strip. Strip looked really good. May, on the kind of notice he had for an opening day start as a 22-year-old, that kid knocked it out of the park.
Dude, he was throwing some nasty pitches to
some
those
straight. Imagine if ESPN started the broadcast on time.
we don't want to talk about that because that is very frustrating. ESPN, it's its own thing in itself that we need to talk about. I think we'll probably talk about that with with Mr. Cooper.
I know Cooper really wants to be angry. That's it. He just wants to be angry.
I will say that it was a lot of bad luck with the Dodgers, which is just the curse of the Dodgers against the Giants.
Except for they kept running themselves out of innings.
That too. But also, if you look at the contact rate, I mean, if you look at the hits that the Giants have, I'm sure if you looked at the exit velocity on those hits, it would be like under 85 miles an hour, which is soft contact in baseball, by the way. There were so many just singles that just fell in or blooped, or just dribblers that found a hole between short and third. It was such bad hitting that just kept finding a way on. So with that in mind, pretty unlucky series. Looking forward to beating up on Houston. Houston is hurting.
I would say that's a good enough segue into it. We want them to be hurting more, but the Dodgers are heading out on a death journey to Houston because, the whole Corona thing, and they're going to face the hated Astros, probably the most hated sports franchise of all sports franchises. And to preview that series and talk about a cornucopia of topics and things that are probably grinding our gears, we welcome to the show Houston superfan Cooper Surles. What's going on, Coop?
What's going on, guys? Can I get some horns at least?
Wait, hold on. There you go. Does that work?
Thank you. Yeah. Have some respect. Yeah, give me some
put some respect on Cooper's name. What are you doing, man?
My bad, man. So, how you doing, guy? We haven't talked to you since the last time we got to hate the Astros.
I'm doing great. Can't complain. It's raining like hell here in Houston, so I think y'all are about to bring the same thing here on me, so looking forward to it.
Well, somebody asked that I boo this man, so there you go. There's a boo.
You get a little of everything in the show.
So what's up? Again, we understand you're not an overly admitted Astros fan, but, you are a Houston guy. You're a Houston sports guy, so we're just going to lump you together. Plus, I found a picture of you wearing Astros gear, and that's what I'm using here for this particular segment. But what is up, in your opinion, with them cheating Astros, or are you really kind of more aligned to the Dodgers side now since you have MLB TV?
Yeah. So, I grew up a huge Astros fan, and up until I stopped playing baseball, I guess at 14, 15. I just stopped sort of following baseball in general, and with that, the Astros. But I'm a Houston sports fan. I love the city of Houston, and I'll represent that forever. But of course, I'm just not a huge Astros fan anymore, especially with the podcast. I've actually watched the last 4 Dodgers games, and I'm pretty much converted to a Dodgers fan. So, but I will defend the city of Houston if you want to go after Houston.
Well, I think that's Brooks' thing. He loves trashing some Houston.
Yeah, I like
here's
going
the
after
thing,
Houston.
Brooke. Yeah, Brooks been going after Houston, and then this whole podcast he's been going after Florida, which is where my parents live. So
you hate Cooper.
This is getting really personal.
Listen, I'm not saying this was designed specifically for you, but it's working out really well, so I get it.
Yeah.
But it makes you feel any better. My in-laws are from Houston, so I feel like I have a right, don't I? I have some sort of right.
I'm honestly trying to figure out why the hell I'm even on this podcast right now.
Specifically for the purpose of being a Dodger fan and an Astro fan at the same time.
Yeah.
Perfect.
No, but I think I was talking to a couple of my buddies that are big Astros fans today, and I think for them and most Astros fans, they just firmly believe that everyone's cheating too. And that's like the main sentiment that you get from everyone. They're like, yeah, we shouldn't have done that. We're pissed at the team, but everyone else is doing it, so that doesn't take away from our championship. So that's pretty much the vibe around Houston. And I think people are just kind of ready for it to be over with and ready for the Astros and this particular team to prove how good they are.
I will say that I do actually believe that to a certain extent that every team does cheat in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not in so much in the video camera sense of
live video camera,
but
and
I will say that they are the ones that got caught, and so that they're gonna have to hang it up on them, because you're not gonna catch anybody else doing anything that they're doing. I know Trevor Bauer is pretty adamant about everybody else in the world cheating, so. But I mean, look, we got this good series coming up. We were really looking forward to it. You know, there's no fans, obviously, which sucks. But we were like, okay, it's shaping up. Originally, we were like, hey, it's kind of lining up to where Ross is going to get to pitch in Houston. It's going to be a huge thing. We were super excited for that. Obviously, he got to pitch against the Giants. Still good. But we were hoping for a Verlander-Kershaw showdown, too. And now, first we lose Kershaw, and that's a bummer. And now we lose Justin Verlander, and it's like, oh, what the hell? We got 2 guys pitching who weren't even on the 2017 team. This isn't even fun anymore.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I actually was talking to Ross about it earlier, and I was saying, like, are you kind of bummed that it didn't line up that way? And he said, actually, it's sort of dodged a bullet. I don't have to deal with the whole situation based on what he said in the offseason. Yeah. And he was like, the one time I pitch in Houston, I would hope that my friends and family could come. So he was kind of like, yeah, I'm sort of dodged a bullet on this one. But it definitely sucks, man. I mean, these are 2 teams that are very likely, in my head, going to be there at the end, whether it between them or the Yankees on the AL side. But I don't know. These are 2 offenses that should put up massive performances if we're taking away the last 2 Dodgers games.
So
yeah, we don't want to talk about those.
Yeah.
So now that you're sort of transitioning into an actual baseball fan in a way, what's that been like for you?
No, it's fun, man. Baseball is something when you're locked into it and you really are watching it night after night. It's such an intricate sport and so involved that you just kind of get engulfed by the whole thing. So I found myself, even in those last 2 stinker Dodger games, I found myself really enjoying watching it, even just to find the new pitching matchups, and I'm kind of relearning the game again. So it's been super fun, man. I love it. And I wanted to talk about, you guys were mentioning the Marlins situation.
Yeah.
And we had Danny Green on our podcast, which is going to be coming out tomorrow. No big deal, big flex. But he was mentioning.
Turn it down.
Yeah. But he was mentioning the fact that basically it's obvious when he's in the bubble if some teams are just there to collect their paycheck and some teams are there to compete for a championship. And I'm thinking the same thing's happening in baseball, where I think you'll see the teams that get ravaged by COVID are the terrible teams.
Yeah.
Because they're not respecting staying indoors and they're going out on road trips and all that stuff. Like I think like a team like the Dodgers, you just won't see them get sick, or the Yankees or the Astros and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, on top of the fact that the Dodgers also have actual baseball players on their team and established veterans that can, I mean, if Ross is old enough now, he's not a young guy that's not going to speak up and speak his mind, but he's old enough now where he can see some of the kids doing something and be like, hey guys, maybe don't do that. Whereas the Marlins are literally a bunch of children running around, and I don't know what kind of Miguel Rojas is their leader on that team, so that should tell you all you need to know about them. But that's actually really interesting, that sentiment of the lesser teams not caring as much. They don't. I mean, let's be real. There's no way the Marlins are that invested in this season. There's no way.
I mean, how could they be? I mean,
Right.
if I were out there, certainly wouldn't be as invested if I was playing for the Dodgers or the Yankees, the Astros, or a team that was really contending. So to think that they're sitting in Miami and things are open in Florida, and you're a 22-year-old guy from the Dominican or something, you're going to go out.
Yeah.
Like, that's just simple math right there. And especially if your team's probably going to win 5 or 6 games the whole year, you don't really have that much incentive to stay healthy.
One of the things, so I was listening to your guys' last episode, the Big Swing podcast, last one, check it out, Swinger here. First time, long time. But you guys had Buster Olney on, and the funny thing is you guys record on Sunday nights for the greater part, right? Or is
yes,
it?
yeah, typically Sunday nights. Like usually we do the interviews then, and then we post on Wednesdays. Yeah.
So that was the Sunday before opening day. Here we are a few days after opening day, and I'm listening to it, and it's like, this is evergreen content. And not only that, it was topical content, because Olney was pretty much dropping exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be one team that just kind of gets a bunch of positives. I know you probably don't remember your own show because you don't edit it anymore. I know how that goes, but it was spot on. So that's something where you can you could hang that up on the I don't know if it's journalist shelf or something like that. You guys had a sort of a scoop there with Olney. Like he knocked it out of the park with that. And ultimately Florida is the worst, and Miami Marlins shouldn't be playing baseball. But I don't know. I guess
but he told you exactly what we're seeing now. He said, hey, if there's extreme cases, the MLB really doesn't care. They see themselves as a business, which in a way, rightfully so, they are.
Yep.
And he's saying, unless someone dies, basically, we're going to figure out a way to keep grinding and keep going. And you would assume that the MLB and the owners and the commissioner and all that stuff, you would assume that they have a plan in place for this, but knowing them, they probably don't. But any competent league would have something in place to where they would expect a team to get ravaged by COVID and they would keep going. But MLB could be a little different.
MLB had its plan, and it already enacted its plan. It's good. MLB went and expanded the damn playoffs before teams even played against other teams, because they were so ready to cash in based on those low intra-squad COVID testing numbers. So MLB is trash. But moving on here a little bit. As I said, this is going to be a sort of cornucopia of topics, and we were all watching that ESPN game last night, and I know you had some thoughts that maybe you can't be as angry on your own show as you can on ours, so I'm going to let you lead off the anger or just the the sights and sounds of that ESPN cast with Matt Vasgersian and the awful A-Rod.
Well, I'm going to go back even further and go to the Carl Ravitch game. Like, he was absolutely hammered. I know for a fact that guy, I mean, he's sitting at home. He's probably 3 or 4 scotches in through the 7th inning stretch. And he was just horrible, I thought. But then, going on to the next game with A-Rod. You mentioned it, Clint. We were texting. You said he laughs. I think he has like 6 to 7 chuckles every single time. And then...
That's what his programming tells him to do.
Well, I think it's just a laugh track.
Yeah, he actually just reads it off a script. It's just running a teleprompter on the screen. It says ha ha.
Yeah, they say it's just the stat guy gives them a ha 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 ha.
Yeah,
they don't even
got it.
But and then they interviewed, I can't remember her name, but they interviewed the one that designed the new renovation.
Janet Marie Smith. Yeah.
Right, and great. I mean, maybe ask her 3 questions, but we did a full autobiography, and she told her whole life story. I was like, we're good.
Also,
right?
if you were watching the let's call it unsavory stream that some people have been known to find on the internet somewhere, the Janet Marie Smith audio was not there, which is just beautiful because it's just A-Rod talking in like very short sentences and then just long silence.
Well, it just was question after question, dude. I was like, this is no longer interesting. like I know there's no fans, but is there a reason why they are having these like wonky interviews that last 15 minutes? Like, I realize there's no fans, but there's still being baseball played.
Yeah, you would think that. I mean, I will say that the first go around of the ESPN focused a lot less on the actual game being played, almost to the point where I was like, is this a freaking joke? Like, am I watching the wrong stream? And I'm just like, they're not connected at all at some points. Like, they're not talking about baseball. They're not calling the game.
They had the Dodgers playing the Giants, a longtime baseball historic rivalry, and they bring on Matt Chapman, third baseman for the Oakland Athletics, and talk nothing about that. They're like, oh, how do you be so good at third baseman? It's like, dude, this is literally a thing that's happening to our broadcast right now.
It got real good.
Plus, I loved. I'm going to focus a lot more on the A-Rod stuff because I've hated A-Rod for years and years, and the fact that A-Rod is the proud owner of the longest ever handed down suspension in Major League Baseball history, a full season away from the game, and he has a job like this. That's just inexcusable in my opinion. ESPN should have done better on that hire, but the preparedness, like at one point, and I can understand, whatever, you open up Baseball Reference and you look for a second and you see that Will Smith played X amount of games and Austin Barnes played X amount of games, but go one level deeper, maybe look at the game logs or something like that. But they said Ravitch said by the end of the season, or they're going to be doing this season what they did at the end of the season where Will Smith and Austin Barnes were splitting catching duties. Will Smith caught one game after August, if I'm not mistaken.
Look, the only problem I really had
a problem with that. I just want to get that.
My biggest gripe with the entire ESPN process between both games is the fact that they called Brusdar Graterol Juan at one point in last night's game. And I listen, as a Brusdar Graterol fan account, I gotta say, I am very offended for him, and I will punch somebody, and I'm very upset about it. Who said that? You pointed out.
It was
Vasgersian. Vasgersian, to me, is generally a very good dude and good at his job, generally. But in this particular instance, he's going to get hit because that's some disrespect to my boy Brusdar. Mm-hmm. Not happy with that.
So what network is broadcasting the Astros-Dodgers game tomorrow?
ESPN gets Wednesday.
Yeah, there's a Wednesday.
Tuesdays is...
Yeah, Wednesday or Tuesday we get the good guys. We get our Joe and Oral, and then I don't know if that's also on Sportsnet because it sucks that there's so many of these national games because they're trying to make up for all of that lost. You know how it goes with these things. So I guess it's part of the suffering to have baseball back, but man.
So I have a question for y'all. I don't mean to turn
That's okay.
this thing on you guys, but
that's why we prepare less for you because we know I know, man, you're a podcast host. I know how this works.
I've prepared absolutely zero. This is
he's got a sheet.
I literally, it's not great. So I have like a full printed out sheet. No, but so I'm curious for y'all. Like, when is the threshold when you guys as Dodgers fans, become the villains for continuing to bring up the Astros thing? Because I think you rightfully probably have a year where all fan bases, including the Dodgers, can go at them. They can tweet them, meme them, do all this crap. But eventually, if, let's say, the Dodgers don't win a World Series, sorry, I said that, and you guys continue to complain about the Astros through next year, people are going to turn on Dodgers fans.
I think if you have I guess we're going to call this a kosher season. It's 60 games, so it's weird, whatever. But I think if we have this season to play and we still, let's say even, I'll take it a step further. What if we get beat by the Astros in the World Series? We know that this time around it's legit. There's nothing, unsavory about it. It's not fake. They're not cheating, whatever. If we get beat by the Astros this year, I don't think we can say much beyond this year, regardless of whether or not we actually get beat by them in particular. I don't see the legitness to talking about it for that long.
One, okay, they can cheat. They can cheat because they can have the piped in crowd noise be like, fastball.
It's just they're just confident.
That's gonna be
like, we can hear that.
That's option number one.
But we had already talked about the fact that even before this, Cooper, we were like, this might linger for a few years depending on how the next couple World Series go for us. It might linger, but for the most part, it's going to be like anything else in baseball where after a while, you just kind of forget about it. And then it becomes a footnote in history that you look back on and you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. It was pretty trash.
A preface is that it's not only Dodgers fans. That it's the league.
No, it's not.
There are multiple meme accounts on the Astros, and all of them have like tens of thousands of followers because so many people in so many different walks of life hate this team for either robbing the Yankees or robbing the Dodgers or robbing anybody else along the way. But to answer the question, I think fans are ultimately going to need to get involved. They're going to need to be at a game. Fans are going to need to just boo their hearts out.
That's fair.
And then it can start to linger. It'll be one of those things that's always there, but it'll be, we're going to play them. Oh, remember that time they cheated? Ha ha, Astros suck. And then it'll just, everybody can kind of live their life. But it might be another year or two.
It's hard to let go. I mean, I know I have stuff. I probably am the biggest fan of the Rockets over any sport. And I have like a specific lack of a whistle that happened in 2017 Western Conference Finals that I still talk about like every other weekend when I'm drunk. But but I do think it's just funny. It just shows how kind of funny and stupid fandom of sports is in general, because I think like if you guys were in the Astros position, you would be taking the same position they would. You would probably be trying to justify it or, rallying behind this team and moving on. Like, it's just so funny that if they were on the other side, they would be arguing with you and vice versa.
Over on Facebook, Randy Shipley says, our fans are literally silenced this year, so 2020 is kind of a throwaway. We need a full 2021 season. That actually makes me think that it's led people on Twitter to be even louder than they
that's what I was
would
say. Yeah.
Because they're like, hey, we don't get the chance to go out to a game and just be angry and get our vengeance on them or whatever it might be. So I'm just going to go on Twitter and talk crap all day. And Astros fans, man, they're very good at really getting under people's skin. Like, I will say that about the Astros fan base. I would say they also have that in common with the Padres fan base, who are very good at getting under people's skin for some reason.
Well, here's the zeitgeist of Houston, and this will explain a lot of the activity probably on Twitter, but like people that grew up in Houston and follow sports and everything, we're the fourth largest city in the country, and we have been so underreported forever on national TV, on ESPN, all this stuff. So there's just been this huge built up frustration that like the LA teams and New York teams get covered so much, and the Houston teams are sitting over here like, well, what about us? So that's been like the zeitgeist of every Houston sports fan, is they're just so frustrated. So when now, rightfully so, Dodgers fans are coming at Astros fans, it's become almost like a West Coast South rivalry rather than an Astros-Dodgers thing.
I love that the Angels are so bad that the Dodgers-Astros series is more of a rivalry over there.
Yeah.
Cooper, I mean, I don't even know how I'm going to commemorate this, but I'm going to remember it for a long time as a noted Angels hater. Nothing makes me feel better than, number one, getting to know the fact that Ross Stripling is better than every pitcher on their starting staff. First of all, the fact that they, second of all, dropped out of that trade. Third, also had Jock in it, by the way. Yeah. And on top of that I get to know Ross and actually remember that fondly. So I'm going to look back on that for a very long time and be like, man, the the Angels are a bad organization. Freudian slip there, my bad. But I mean, that's just one of my favorite things to happen all year. Because when we thought Ross was getting traded, it was like, I mean, if he was going to a team that I liked, it would be like, all right, that's cool. Ross is going to get a chance to be an everyday number 1, number 2 starter, perhaps, depending on where he goes. But, it was going to the Angels, and I was like, oh, I freaking hate the Angels.
Yeah, you really lucked out in that too, Coop, man. And like, it would have been terrible for you to have to become a sort of transplant Angels fan, because nobody wants that.
Yeah, that'd be tough. I don't look great in red either, so that would have been a struggle for me. I've always wished the Rockets were a different color. I think blue fits me. So no, but it was crazy. I mean, like it really was fun, like as like a huge sports fan, and you guys would have enjoyed it too, but like have a front row seat to what was going on.
Yeah.
Like you would cross check, like I'd be talking to Ross and he'd be telling me what's going on in his end, and then you cross check it with Twitter, and like just everything was going on at one time, and it was really cool to kind of be behind the curtain on that one.
Yeah, we loved that time too because it gave us a whole lot of crap to write about.
It did. Even if it made us very sad, it gave us a lot to write about. But then we got to be happy.
What it made me realize too is like, I don't know, maybe it's just because Ross isn't Mookie Betts or someone, but how little they really know and how much they're really finding out their fate on Twitter and through these leaks to reporters and everything. Because for most of the time, up until really that like last day of the whole trade situation, Ross didn't know what the hell was going on at all.
That's all right. Neither did the Angels.
And they remain not knowing what the hell is going on.
They're doing great.
I wonder how well the owner's pride is playing on the field this year.
Oh, dude. I mean, I don't really check in on the Angels fan base very often. I don't see. So there are one fan base that I just don't see on Twitter. Like, I don't see them pop up everywhere. I don't know if it's because all the rich white people don't get on Twitter in Orange County. Don't know what the deal is with them, but I really don't see them react. I know maybe there's one Angel fan that I interact with on a daily basis, and he's a pretty reasonable guy. But I mean, if we were in their shoes and everybody, let's just say everybody involved in the organization from top to bottom got us pulled out of a deal like that where we needed a really good starting pitcher and we had one in our lap for basically nothing, not to call Luis Rengifo nothing, but he's kind of nothing in this particular instance. If you got that pulled out from under you just because you of a pride
you got grumpy,
situation, I would be pissed, man. I would be livid. I mean, I know the Angels fans already don't really like Artie Moreno just in general, but that could not have helped at all.
Yeah, it's not great. That probably stung too when Ross had a good outing.
Oh yeah, it was just poetry, man. Just poetry.
And Ohtani couldn't even get an out.
Yeah, to have Ross come and do very well, and then watch Ohtani struggle for the first inning of his career and not get it, or inning of the season and not get it out. It's not a good time to be an Angels fan right now, I don't think.
All right, man.
So what's your prediction for the Astros series?
Ooh,
real quick.
Well, I said split on the other one.
You're gonna say split on this one too?
Whatever.
You coward.
I'm gonna take the coward. I'm the guy that bets on either red or black on the roulette table.
You know who's pitching in this series, right?
We got D-May and Bueller, but Bueller's not built up,
dude. I do worry about Walker a little bit in the first go around, but I'm more relying on the fact that I really think Mookie is just going to crush the ball during this series.
I like this.
I don't really know where anybody else. I think Seager's going to find a lot more holes in Houston than he did in LA. So I think offense is going to explode. I need it to explode. If it doesn't explode, I might explode. So yeah, I'm gonna go both games to the Dodgers. I think the Mariners got really deep into Houston's bullpen today. It can only help, even though they have more bullpen guys than they usually would right now. But I'm gonna go very homer and say 2 games to the Dodgers.
What's your call, Coop?
Yeah, man. Just talking to all my buddies and people around Houston, God, they want to win this series so bad. So I'm gonna take the Astros on both of them, and for no reason other than God, they want to beat this LA team.
Oh, look at the comment section go.
and I'll tell y'all, if the Astros win both those games, you might as well delete your Twitter for a week. People are going to go at you.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. I haven't even said much about the Astros over the last couple of days, and I've had many of them show up in my mentions, and it's a very scary time to be alive. They're very aggressive.
No, but I'm legitimately rooting for the Dodgers in this series.
Yeah,
well, I would hope so. I'd hate to have to break that to Ross. He'd be very upset.
I don't care. Ross can handle it. He's a big boy.
Yeah, he clearly handled almost being a nightmare Angel. The last, I saw a good comment here. I figured it'd be fun. 2 games. Let's set it at 4. You guys going over under on hit by pitches for the whole series, both teams.
I think the funny thing is that there's like the Astros hit by pitch tracker or whatever it is that's on Twitter.
Another great account.
I don't personally really care about that too much, but the thing that bothers me is like every time they show an Astros batter getting hit, it's always by an off-speed pitch, and like, why do we care? It's not on purpose. Like, if it was done with intention, if you get a fastball like up and in on somebody, it's done with intention, then yeah, I kind of want to know about that. But I mean, I don't care if Jose Altuve is getting hit with a 76-mile-an-hour curveball. Everyone's all hyped up on
I'm going way under on that. I feel like the Dodgers that's the one thing they don't need is, another distraction or something to come in between the season. So just seem worth it.
That's what Doc said yesterday after his post game. Somebody asked him about it. They're like, are you really fired up for this series? And he's like, look, man, we just got to focus on winning some games and making things happen. Whatever happened in the past, we're over it. We've talked about it. Everyone has their emotions and feelings on it, but we're going to play ball and we're going to win some ball games. So I don't think they're going to.
But the Dodgers need to for the fan base. Like, it's a fan service.
Just let the Yankees do it. Let the Yankees take.
We don't care about the Yankees
in the playoffs. Let the Yankees take care of it. They'll be all right.
That's a
no, we don't care
whole
about the Yankees, but they can battle it out.
This is a game where we need no artificial crowd noise, and we just need a quiet stadium so we can
flat
hear everything.
silence.
Because they may not hit each other, but they're definitely going to talk shit.
Oh, Walker's on the mound too, dude. I'm stoked for that.
Yeah.
This is the first time I'm going to get to hear Walker in an empty stadium. I cannot wait for that. The field mics are going to be turned off. It's going to be wild.
Yeah, Clint's going to need his bleep machine working pretty quickly.
You're going to go quick on
Do
that
I have
one?
I don't think I'll just got I'll just there we go. That's all
You stop
I don't
bleeping
really
yourself,
have a
so.
bleep. Yeah. I got an air horn. That sort of works. Well, you've professionally and officially pissed off the chats here. So we appreciate you for that, for doing your job. People, we got somebody saying, and that's the last time Coop is ever on the show. And people just,
Ouch.
we got to ban Coop and professional fan over here and all that kind of stuff. So that's fun. We'll be happy to get you on again in the future. But yeah, go sports, huh?
Yeah, we're back, baby. We are back.
Cooper Surles, thanks for hanging out with us, buddy. Make sure to yell at us in the comments below.
All right, guys. I will be there every week.
Take it easy, guy.
All right, see you.
See you, man.
So here, as we end the show,
8:03. My goodness, how time flies when you're having fun.
I know it was going to be fun.
That's the problem.
It's going to be fun this
that's-
series. I'm very happy.
That's the problem with talking to Cooper, is that we just talk for a very, very long time because we're friends with Cooper. You shouldn't talk to your friends on the show.
It's
because then you
baseball.
want to talk for so long. It's like you're drinking beers at a bar, like all the Pacifico.
Well, that just makes it like all the other awful podcasts. Like, hey, I'm going to bring in my friend who watches 3 games a week. You know.
We all have that guy.
Yeah. Podcasts are generally trash, but here we are. We're good.
Like ours.
Sometimes. Depends on how many drink. But to wrap up the show, we spoke with an actual human doctor. He works on humans, and he is human.
It's the first time I've talked to a doctor in years, personally.
I know you're a proud, basically a proud Chicano at heart. You don't believe in
I don't
going
believe in
to
doctors.
the hospital.
They're all quacks.
Yeah, you just throw some dirt on it. But
if it ain't bleeding, it ain't needing.
The more of the conversation will be out on our YouTube channel sometime on Tuesday. But we did have sort of an interesting narrative that was pitched to us, and that was one of the reasons why we brought him on. But it just sort of also evolved that today was the day when Corona was taking over baseball again. But we got Dr. Miguel Rojas, MD.
That's good.
As part of our interview here, the idea was there has to be sort of kind of a mental hurdle when you're looking at playing baseball games without fans in the season. And here at the beginning, we're seeing everybody have fun. They're trying to keep themselves, the players are trying to keep themselves involved, still keeping, fans or high fives and just generally engaged. But that will wane, and they're going to have to try to get it up for crowd noise and a broken, decapitated fan cutout in center field or whatever, left field. So anyways,
I got a lot of DMs asking me if that was me, and I'm offended by that.
It looks exactly like you with the fake
basic
mustache
white guy.
God. Anyways, here's part of that conversation with Dr. Gregory Charlop. Not only is that virus taking its toll on players, but there's the struggle of such a different new world for them and different reality of playing in these open, empty stadiums, and really the people in your dugout, or really I guess they're not supposed to be in the dugout, but the people around you, that's all you have. What kind of, how would no fans affect a baseball player mentally, or just athletes mentally?
So, I love this question. It's a fun topic, and we're getting like some great controlled experiments now because we don't have too much like empirical data. We haven't done this too much before.
Right.
So it's actually, one of the things I love about baseball is we're collecting so much information. You can look at it and see what happens. But I'll tell you, for the most part, the stats, the season's short, so I don't want to draw too much out of this. But so far, I would say based on the data, there hasn't been a huge change other than maybe hits have dropped off a bit. And maybe that's what you'd expect. Maybe there's less cheering. I haven't dug so far into it, but it'd be interesting to see if there are fewer hits because the home team isn't hitting as much as you would expect a home team to hit,
right?
Because you don't have the fans.
Yeah.
So, but I think, the psychology, baseball players are still humans, right? And we all do better when we have adrenaline going and we've got people rooting for us and we've got people in our corner. And we know that there is a home field advantage. And part of that is you're used to the stadium. And I think part of it is you're not getting the sleep deprivation, from traveling.
Yeah.
But I think obviously part of it is the fans and they're not there. So I'm sure that the baseball players are suffering something emotionally from it by not having the fans. And then you have that crazy thing. You probably saw this, where Will Smith hits the ball and he decapitates you saw this. He decapitated one of those
cardboard cutout. Yeah, that was great.
The cardboard cutout, and so you wonder. I'm sure he didn't know it at the time, but you see that. Obviously, everybody knows about it after. I'm sure they're all laughing about it.
Yeah.
But you wonder if that will impact people's performance later, knowing that now it's real. You've just decapitated some cutout. This is real now. So you wonder whether this is going to affect their performance later. And to be honest, we don't have data on it other than what we've seen so far. And I think at least based on the drop in hits, I'm going to say there probably is some loss of juice, especially for the home teams.
So I wonder if you would be thrown off by decapitating a fake fan.
I would feel good about it. One time I broke a light at a softball field. That felt good, but I've never had any fans at any of my games, so.
Because Mrs. Me3 is very supportive.
She's there, but she also doesn't watch sports.
Yeah. She's like, yeah, do the thing.
Do
and
a
you're
sport.
Just sitting on the bench.
And I'm like, I'm not out there.
But yeah, I would not be surprised or shocked to see the numbers and everything, just the overall player engagement decline as the season goes on.
Dude, Kenley talked about it, when he talked about coming out of the bullpen during the intra-squads.
Yeah.
Somebody asked him, hey, how did it feel? What was the energy like? You're coming out in the 9th inning. And he's like, yeah, I'm coming into a game and I'm happy to be pitching in a game, of course. I'm glad baseball's back. He's like, I didn't have that juice. I didn't have that energy. I didn't get those butterflies in your stomach, that kick before a game. Ross said the same thing. Where he's like, usually I'm out there trying to avoid fans during warm-ups and stuff like that before a start. Nice, get all these guys yelling at you around you, trying to get you to throw them a ball or whatever the hell they're doing, and start getting the butterflies before a start. He's like, but this time it was just warming up, and then all of a sudden you're in a game, and you're like, oh, I'm in a game. Here we go. And you notice some stuff. You notice drops in velocity on things, and those can be attributed to a lack of adrenaline for those situations. So you got to wonder how long this is going to last, and it's going to fall on these veteran players to really keep guys into ball games, because when you're used to 55,000 people flying out of their seats, yelling at the top of their lungs for most of the game, doing a wave at the absolute wrong time because Dodgers fans don't know when they're supposed to do the wave, you got to feel like you're losing something there.
Yeah, and like Cooper had mentioned, that I forgot it. I had it and then it escaped me. I just want to bring up Cooper again. He's our bestest friend. No, I don't know. I had a thing, but yeah, it sucks.
It's not good. It's going to be a weird season. I don't know how people are going to keep up and hype themselves up, but they're going to have to find a way. I'm interested to see how Walker reacts, because he's definitely one of those adrenaline type of guys. Also, Cooper says, I think I have a hit on my head. Please still listen to Big Swing Podcast? ?
Don't you ever do it. Make sure you mash that unsubscribe button now, guys. No, I'm just messing around.
Don't do that. Don't do that to him.
Nice
worked
kid.
hard.
Nice kid, friend of the show. One of the things, like you're talking about with Ross, I was really surprised that without the fans, Ross was able to get the velo up to sitting 93, touching 94.
Ross is pumping those fastballs, man. Who was the one who gave us his dark horse Ross Stripling pick? Was that wasn't Joe, was it?
No, that was Hartung.
Hartung gave us Ross Stripling dark horse Cy Young pick, and I'm loving that pick right now, because Ross does look sharp, even in his first start. Katie also says there's never a bad time to do the wave. I would politely disagree. I think every time's a bad time to do the wave, because the wave is the worst. It's good for kids. Kids can do the wave.
We didn't even talk about the stupid CGI crowd, but it's okay. We had to hear CGI A-Rod the next night. Hey, look what I did there. One last note. An Astro is going to get hit. Who's going to be the first one?
Oh, man. I don't know. I hope it's Josh Reddick. I don't really care about anybody else.
The correct answer is Correa, Carlos Correa.
I just hope he gets kneecapped, you know?
At any rate, baseball, we hope you stay with us. It would mean a lot to us. We kind of base our life around you in way too many ways. And we can't go play you, so please stay with us, baseball. Back to you in the studio. Anyways, guys, I guess that's the show. Probably we're all going on too long here, but find us on the internet. We'll be talking about baseball there at DodgersNation.com. We are also a podcast, and we are on places where podcasts live. So subscribe there: iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Pandora, Stitcher Radio, everywhere podcasts exist. youtube.com/DodgersNationTV. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you can see that lovely Kike knockoff mustache every single week.
I would politely like to disagree with that as well. I think it's a BrookMe3 knockoff mustache that he has. Guys, my name is at BrookMe3 on Twitter and Instagram. This guy over here is at RealFRG. Twitter and Instagram, fancy as he is. We are at Dodgers Nation on Twitter, at Officials Dodger Nation on Instagram. Huge thank you to you guys for hanging out. Thank you guys for all your questions. The Astros are coming up. Let's win some ball games. Let's not be sad, and let's not catch the COVID. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.